Good afternoon, ARB. We're live and you are being recorded.
Great. Thank you, LTV, and good afternoon to you too. Welcome to the August 10th, 2023 meeting of the Architectural Review Board. My name's Kathleen Cunningham. It's my privilege to chair this agency. I'm just going to start by reading a little bit from the comprehensive plan. The vision statement, which is to say that East Hampton is defined by the unique character of its hamlets, villages, and countryside. East Hampton's beaches are rated among the world's best. The land supports one of the highest concentrations of rare and endangered species in New York State. The farmland is rated the best in the state. The Nature Conservancy has designated the area as one of the last great places in the Western Hemisphere. The woodlands are diverse and healthy where they are undisturbed. The harbors and bays among the cleanest in the state. The town is rich in historic and cultural resources. Development has not obliterated the natural and scenic characteristics once covering all of Long Island. The town treasures and is committed to sustaining this rich array of natural and cultural resources, authentic sense of place, rural character, and the people who make it unique. East Hampton is and will continue to be a green community, a leader in protecting the environment, saving energy, and preserving open space. I say this to center us as we start our work today and gave you a chance to move. How are you? Okay, so our first order of business is to approve the minutes of the July 27th, 2023 meeting. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Any, a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're on to, I'm gonna let you catch your breath a minute because you're the first one up here. Okay,
Read the text.
comments to planning. These are comments to planning in which the planning board reaches out to the architectural review board to get preliminary information from us about what we think about a particular application. And this is Project Most Incorporated, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-161-2-15. So Esperanza Leon will lead us through this discussion. And I see that Mr. Ackerman is here. Is that your only application tonight? Who are you guys? It says Ackerman. So who's here on this application?
Andy.
Hi, Andy. Oh, that whole crew back there. Okay, great. All right. I don't know that we'll need to speak with you, but we may. It's just a discussion at this point. So Esperanza Leon is assigned to this, and I'll let her get started.
Okay, thank you. I think most of you are familiar with the location of what is now Project Most, but has been for decades, the neighborhood house on 3 Mile Harbor Road. And this has been coming down the pipeline for a while now.
Excuse me, Esperanza, is your microphone working?
I don't know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I have to get right up close to it. Okay.
Probably close to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Get that.
Excuse me? I did.
She did. I think.
Yeah, I did.
So yes, this is what has been known as the neighborhood house on 3 Mile Harbor Road for many decades. It's also a neighborhood that has some history to it, known as Freetown. So that's a point that I'll bring up later. But the application from Project Most is to actually bring an existing building that has been donated to the organization, a main building that is a gross floor area of 7,623 square feet. And then additionally, there's a basketball court proposed, a sculpture, driveway, and parking areas. As this is only comments to planning, I mean, I guess the best thing that we could do is for the whole board and for the public to look at the renderings that have been submitted. I'm not sure, because I know there were renderings that were submitted later, what the differences are on that. And so
yeah,
I honestly didn't have a chance to really review those because of the late date that they were submitted. So not sure which ones we should look at. I'm sorry. So we'll pull up the ones that were just sent, which will benefit me because I haven't really looked at them. So do you have those, Dan?
That's this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I also submitted about nearly a dozen photographs of the existing site that we could take a look at. So this is the proposed main building as it would be seen from the east.
That would be
Sorry?
You want to scroll through?
Yeah, just keep
Yeah.
going through.
Yeah.
This is the rear. No, this is the side. So this would be the south side. And there's an extensive, I believe there's an extensive landscaping plan. I'm not sure if it's completely fleshed out, but the area as it is right now, there's a stand of really mature oak trees in the front that would be kept. And they would be part of that horseshoe driveway entry area. And then there's a whole overgrown area in the rear that I believe is going to be cleared and then replanted in future. Is that it? Do you want to go through my pictures?
Yeah.
So this is the existing building. Thanks, Dan.
You can see it.
That's good.
With some temporary signage there. And, you know, I don't recall exactly the building that's here is predates zoning. So presumably it's pre-1950s. Is that?
Yeah, I
so?
think it was built, well, I think it was built in the 40s, actually. I've been trying to pull that thing up that I said I would look for, but I have no service here, so.
So you can see how ample the property is. It's a nearly 2.5 acre property. And that's just from the view of Neighborhood House Road. So, you know, with all respect to Project Most and all it does for the community, I mean, I've from the moment I knew this was this structure was being donated to Project Most, I was concerned about the character of this building or the design of this building and the size of the building being something that would not be harmonious with this neighborhood. That's really been my primary concern. And then, of course, the intensity of the development. I understand the needs. I'm concerned about that.
Mhm.
The other thing, as I brought up earlier, is the fact that this is sort of, to me, a sensitive, and I think to many people, a sensitive area of Freetown. And we have few of us here have some knowledge of the history of Freetown, and there's consideration that I think should be taken to prior to any further development of this property, that there be some consultation with an archaeologist. There is one in particular that we're thinking of, which is Alison McGovern, who has done a lot of work in this area with regard to Freetown and was involved with the Fowler Building, which is owned by the town. So that would be something that I would include in our comments to the planning board.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody else have anything they want us to consider? Any board member have anything else they'd like to add? Or-
I'd like to inquire. I mean, it's such a significant building and such a significant gift to Project Most. And now when we see it with full-fleshed with landscaping and flowers, and how is it going to, in the future, be maintained? I mean, can Project Most afford this, or are the generous donees going to provide some upkeep for this big house?
Right. Well, I see that. I think that's a fair question in the overall, but I don't know that that's something that we need to be evaluating specifically.
Well,
You know, I take your
I don't
point.
think it's in
Yeah.
our, I'm just curious about, the concept of it is something, it's a wonderful thing in many ways. I just wonder how it's going to work.
Yeah, and I think
It's a
it's
fair
I think
question,
it's their point.
given the neighborhood house and its, sort of
It's history of,
history and then
yeah,
subsequent
needing
sort of,
funding.
yes,
Right,
exactly.
right. It's always been a wonderful community asset, but it's always needed funding because it's, anyway.
I think we really need to understand the context and history of why this is happening. This is an oceanfront mansion off Further Lane that's been taken apart and sitting in a field waiting to be moved to this site. The property was bought by a very wealthy hedge fund manager who doesn't want the house. So instead of tearing it down, he gave it to Project Most, and he's building a new house in the same location. But this is not a house. This building didn't appear out of nowhere. I think where it came from and why it came from is worth noting.
Yeah, it's a Francis Fleetwood design, in fact. So that
That's a
would be
very
something
generous
that's a very-
donation. I think part of what confounds me is I understand the neighborhood house. I have, a unique understanding of its needs, but and this is a very generous gift, and it could, be really helpful to the community. But our standards are to look at this and say, is this harmonious with the community? It's residentially zoned. It's 2.5 acre lot. It presents kind of as a 3-story building. It's massing, and I think the materials are, I don't know.
How is this a
Probably.
3-story building? So
I think it
Well, we don't even know what is the elevation. I didn't notice on the
I'm saying
elevations
it
what the
looks
height
like
is.
a 3-story building.
I
It's
think
not a 3-story
It's
building.
a 2-story house.
Yeah, but it's, it's got high roof lines. It's massing.
it's a
not
large
massing,
building.
It's a large building.
Yeah.
So,
it's also a large lot in there. An existing neighborhood house isn't exactly small on the lot either. I mean, there's a fair amount of program of what's already there. And I understand the comments about it being a residential area, but up the road, there's Daymark's Deli, there's a gas station, and we're also considering just down the road from it what is right now a nightclub, which could become a large development. So I understand it being a residential area, but I mean, I don't object too much to the scale and massing of this. This institution does have programmatic needs, and I think that they've made a pretty good effort in terms of their site plan to make this work on the site. I have some comments, just minor comments about it architecturally, but that's where I stand on this.
I agree with Frank. East Hampton's history is one of many, many old buildings being taken away from their locations, moved around town, repurposed for other purposes. I think this is a home run for the community, and I think Project Most is lucky to have a donor who is willing to give them this building.
Yeah, I mean, also, I am somewhat cognizant of the fact that there is a sort of a public component to this building. This is not a store. This is not a commercial building. It's an institution that this community that Springs needs for its students. So
yeah, I
just think that this should be seen in light of its functions and its function and program and its role in the community versus like a deli or a store.
I don't disagree with that personally. But what my obligation is to tick off the boxes to say, is it architecturally compatible with the neighborhood? Is the massing and scale compatible with the neighborhood? Are the materials compatible with the neighborhood?
I see that,
but that's what we're charged with doing. I don't, and I feel very conflicted about it for all the reasons you're saying, but among the things that we're meant to be reviewing is not whether it's a service to the community or not whether it's needed by the students in the community. That's not one of our review objectives. Of course, that's why it's being done. I get that. I'm not arguing that point. I'm just trying to stick to what I know we are supposed to be reviewing. And whether it's the need is not on this list. Assurance of harmony,
I mean, to me, I view it similar to, say, I mean, there are elementary schools that go into residential areas. Does the size and scale of an elementary school fit with a community with small houses? It does not, but it sort of is what it is. It's a public building in that regard.
This board doesn't have jurisdiction over schools.
So I think again, Frank, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I don't think it's what the standards or criteria or maintenance of character, the scale of the proposed building, the texture, color, and type of materials, the visual compatibility of the proposed construction with the, other properties, the importance of historic, architectural, or other features and the significance. I
mean, the amusing thing is I actually think that because it used to be a house, it does somewhat look like a residence. It's just a large residence.
Yeah.
In that regards. It's
get it.
not like this looks like some institutional.
Like a shopping center.
Right.
Yeah,
So
no, I don't
in
disagree.
comments to the planning board, we just each make a comment and then it's collected and.
No, the board makes a comment as a group, so I'll write something and we'll vet it and, but the idea is to discuss it here and get everybody's general sense. And if we may all agree, we may not all agree, and then we'll signal that to the planning board, but.
I do have a couple of comments architecturally. One
Okay.
is, and maybe it's a bit of a bias not a bias, but renderings can be tough because you can interpret the way something is rendering is an imperfect art, but looking at this, and it could be just I don't know to what extent the entry roof is actually from the existing house, but to me, I think there's something it's about this elevation if you compare it to the rear elevation.
Mm-hmm.
To me, there's something that's not quite as, I don't want to say refined. This side to me looks a little more just architecturally sort of lacking a little bit compared to the rear elevation. If we could compare it to the rear, if you want to go to the
That's the side.
it's hard to say on that one, but you can see a little of it. There's just something.
Is there another elevation
to it that I feel is kind of lacking on the front elevation?
Yeah, I take your point. I think that's part of why it looks so big to me.
Cover when it rains for kids to get picked.
Oh yeah, I think there needs to be a porch, but I would say just develop it a little bit. And there's something about, go back to the first page of that, about maybe it's the slope of the roof and the way it's kind of like that angled roof. It's just something about it that
Of the porch, just of that porch area?
It's the entry porch, but it's the roof itself I'm having some.
On
On the first floor
the
or the
gable?
or the gambrel roof or the,
Yeah, which part of the roof?
Not the gambrel.
not the
itself,
gambrel, just the porch roof. I see.
the
Yeah.
orang roof.
Okay.
The way it's sloped, and there's just something that's not
Oh, yeah.
detailed wise. And also, my other comment is to the right with those 3 windows. I feel like that elevation could be developed a little bit. Again, I don't know to what extent
On the
this
first
is,
floor, you mean?
but
Yeah.
there's sort of that blank. So I don't know if it means doing something with the roof and making a little bit of an overhang. Maybe it's just putting an accent window above, but it seems to be kind of like I don't think that elevation is as strong.
You and I.
Mhm.
Oh, is this being moved as built?
Yeah, I think that, the
That's-
house exists.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's a curious question. Like, maybe it's a question for the applicant is this exactly the house? And also, like, out of curiosity, are you putting in new windows that are energy efficient? Are you using the existing ones?
Yeah, it was hard to tell.
Yeah,
from
please
the-
approach and just tell us your name if you would, please, sir.
My name is Val Florio, I'm the architect for the project. And I appreciate all of your concerns as an architect. everything you've mentioned in terms of mass, scale, and integrating this structure into the property are things which I had to take into deep consideration. As you pointed out, it's a use which is not often found in a residential zone. It's more conforming in terms of double setbacks, but in terms of the height, Madam Chairman, you brought up the appearance, and to your point, renderings can skew the look of the building. Architecturally, this is a 30-foot tall house, which I found to be modest in scale. The existing home is a double gambrel. There are 2 peaked roofs. We've got one here. The point of the rendering was to give you a sense of feel in terms of not just looking at a blank elevation, but this is primarily a 1-story ingredient, if not for the second floor portion, which houses 1 caretaker. It's an 800 square foot apartment and also an office. So in terms of the massing of the house, if you were to look at the core of the building only, we're looking at like a 5,000 square foot home. But it appears to ramble because it's mostly one story. The intent with the basement, now we've got a structure that has a full basement for music room, additional cooking courses, and activities, indoor activities, which the current house does not have. But again, another good point which was brought up is it does not present as a commercial project in a residential zone. And something, if I were a neighbor, I'd have deep concern about myself. So I look at this project as having merit to the degree, and as a former ARB member, now on a zoning board, I look at things like, is it in harmony with the neighborhood? Does it have texture, material, which is consistent with the neighborhood? It does check those boxes. It's a shingle style house. It's got very familiar material, shingled roof, shingled sidewalls, traditional windows, which you just asked about, which will be repurposed. So we're doing what we can. I'm limited to what I can do with the box of parts that I've been given. And I've assembled this in such a way that if you look at the site plan, we've got an L-shaped structure, which in effect cordons off the backyard activity of children. So I'm trying to diminish the impact of this in a residential zone. And I think that the forest in the front, we've had Charlie Martyr, who has done a site plan. We went to the planning board and got feedback to the point where let's minimize impact on this. The house is set way back from the street. We've maintained as much buffer as possible. And although these things don't speak to the architecture, I think they alleviate some of your legitimate concerns and concerns that I had. As an architect, I leave behind structures that I may not see, in my lifetime. In 100 years from now, this building might be here still, who knows? But it leaves an impact on its site, its location. And I think, obviously there's a community benefit here, but in terms of the residential feel, it's doing a good job in terms of having merit and not creating undesirable change. So a 30-foot tall house, I think reasonable. If it were something really overwhelming, I would have had trepidation even coming to this board, but I feel comfortable. 7,000 square feet, but most of that is all 1 story. It's just that caretaker's office on the second floor and bedroom for caretaker. So they've done an excellent job to really screen and buffer. Planning board has gotten a lot of feedback, and this is just a standard protocol. And I'm sorry, Frank, I can't see your last name.
Guitar.
In terms of the architecture, I agree with that one elevation. I had to reassemble this box of parts. I don't particularly care for that one section of roof where it's kind of abbreviated on the side. If I can pull that down and be a covered porch. What I like about architectural just in massing, if you look at a 2-story space, but it has a 1-story ingredient, it brings it down to human level. So you're not looking at this wall. And I feel like that would soften the building. And the roof line, the intent of the hip roof on this is really just to squeeze that massing, pull it down, and soften the look. It's not these tall 2-story billboards of shingles. So I will take that comment into consideration. Thank you for letting me just give you my thoughts.
Sure. No,
We've
that's
tried
been
our
helpful.
best.
And we'll did you have a question for him, Frank?
No, it is quite about the elevation.
Can we have that, bring that back up, please, Dan?
Can you bring up the drawings? Can we just look at the front elevation, which to me is the most important one, is faces the street, not the renderings, the drawings.
Yeah.
So drawings and plans. There you go. So it's just a small comment about the elevation that the top drawing that's facing the street, to me, the windows, the proportion of the windows on the left side of the building and the second floor are more appealing than the ones on the right. Now, I'm guessing maybe it has to do a code requirement for it being maybe a dwelling, but on the right. But to me, like, and again, I don't know how much is the existing like kit of parts that you have and how much leeway you have, but to me, there, like, something on the right seems to have lost a little bit compared to the proportions on the left.
Understood. I see it. When I look at a building, if it has balance to it, I think the symmetry would be more harmonious, and we can change that. That's actually the caretakers or affordable housing apartment can change the look if the fenestration gets smaller and we balance that out. I feel the left side of this has a very cozy cottage-like appearance, and we could do the same on the right side, no problem, because I have egress potential on the back of the apartment. So whatever you want to recommend, I know this is discussion, but I'm very willing and able to take the board's suggestions very seriously to make this something that you're comfortable with.
Okay.
And it's not difficult to do that because a lot of this has been taken apart. So there will be carpentry on site. It's not like we have to go exactly by what's been given to us.
Yeah, no, that's good to know.
There's a latitude.
And
to
we'll
some
have another
degree.
look at this. I mean, this isn't the final
Of
review
course.
before this board. This is just us giving comments to planning so that when they conduct their review, if we have any major concerns about the architecture of it, we can help them. It helps you and it helps them to not plow through a process and get to us and find out there's a big hand up that
I
says
agree.
no. So
So-
we don't have to go through much more of the detail now,
No.
but
Yeah, it's just a general comment, like there's some sort of whimsical, that's a whimsy name, but like these are kind of unique things about like the bottom elevation, the left side, there's kind of a little quirkiness about it that makes it appealing.
I
And
like it.
carry that. Don't be afraid to carry more of that through the building.
I knew Mr. Fleetwood very well. I was an associate of his, and I think that he would be honored that the structure was being repurposed. And shingle style architecture, as you know, is very whimsical in nature. There's sort of you can break the rules a little bit because the shingles help unify that structure. So there's odd shapes here and there, and the massing of this building is all sort of threaded together by the shingles. However, as this presents, I think that it would be pleasing to the eye, just naturally to see something a little more symmetrical. So happy to do that. My initial comment was, that, again, you can see, look at the bottom slide, primarily one story in nature.
Mhm.
And I think that that's going to help. It's not as if this program is growing into something that's going to be very difficult for the community in terms of new change. It's an improvement to the current program where now there's play space. If there's a rainy day, children can go inside. It's got
No, we
a
understand.
kitchen and
Yeah.
on. But
We're big
again-
fans of Neighborhood House. We get it.
right,
Yeah.
nothing, this is of course not architectural related, but I think that the point being of we've got a building that suits the needs without overburdening the residents. And something I had, if this were in my backyard, would have been like, okay, what's going on? However, it's more conforming. It's got the double setbacks. So neighbor to the north should be happy. We've got a very robust buffer on all four sides. And ideally, if we didn't have the exit curb cut,
Mhm,
this thing would be completely shrouded from the street.
mhm.
However, planning made us go for a traffic study, which made 2 curb cuts, and it kind of opened up visibility.
Yeah,
But
it seems appropriate because you're going to have a lot of kids on site. You're going to have people dropping off. Anyway, that's beyond, that's not us. We're not site
Yeah,
plan. We're
I-
not circulation. Did you have one more
Yeah,
thing?
just one more thing, because as I'm looking at this and hearing what you're saying, it's, I guess for me, it is the fact that, as happens so often with these larger residential structures, even throughout East Hampton, I look at the lower elevation, and it would be more, I would be more disposed or in favor of this if that was what I was looking at from the front of, from the street, rather than the more imposing facade. So, does that make sense? So in my mind, wouldn't it be great if you could just turn it around and spin it and then have a lesser imposing
Yeah,
facade
The impact is
facing
not- Yeah.
and impacting the street view? So that was just a comment as I'm looking at this that I wanted to make.
Okay.
well, I think that those comments will be addressed with Frank's suggestion
Perhaps.
to soften the front. In any residential neighborhood, there's sort of a cadence of each house. There's front door, front door, front door. So it doesn't occur to me to turn it in that manner. However, I feel that because it's set back, it's getting lost to some degree in terms of that relationship to the roadside. So
Okay. I don't mean to hurry you, but you're the
Thank you
first
for
on
your
a
time.
big
I didn't-
agenda.
it's just it's
Okay.
helpful to get feedback. At the
Yep.
same time, I want to alleviate your concern. When you said 3-story,
Appreciate
I'm
that.
going, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's
Well,
not
it
a
presents, it
3-story.
looks like that a little bit. It presents that way. It is not a 3-story building. I recognize that, but it's
Okay.
just a massing of it. So we won't go down that road again, but thank you for coming and thank you for taking the time to explain your
Okay.
concepts to us. We benefited from your remarks. Okay, have a good evening. All right, next up is change to commercials, number 2, 3 Mile Harbor Housing Modifications of King Tax Map number 300-122-7-19 and 20. I saw Katie here. Hi, Katie, how are you? You want to come up, please? This is mine. Dan, maybe you could just bring up the photos. So this is for a change to modification of the resolution where the siding and trim was approved to be hardy shingle and hardy board with gray birch siding and cobblestone trim. And that proves to be unavailable now. So the applicant is proposing gray slate and Arctic white, gray slate trim and Arctic white siding. You could just spin through the, I'm sorry,
Gray slate siding and Arctic white.
didn't I say
trim.
that? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I
Yes,
thought I was
I know.
saying.
You
Thank
were
you for
saying.
correcting me. Gray
understood you.
slate siding and it's also a tongue twister
Yes.
and Arctic white trim, which is already there. Those stacks that you see there is the siding and the trim is there also. But I thought it would be interesting. I walked up the hill today and met Buddy the dog, who sat on my foot for a while I talked to the foreman. Very cute. But if you could just scroll through these photos, it's coming out. Aren't those roof lines really nice? I just think I'm really impressed by this. I think it looks great. Keep going. You could just go through relatively quickly, Dan. I thought this was helpful to know, just to get a sense of what this, the massing that is going to be covered by the siding and the trim. And these buildings are, I got a close look up at the roof. I thought the roof would look good. So I think the gray slate will look fine. The Arctic white trim, I'm a little less enthusiastic about because I think it'll make a stronger contrast against the gray slate. I thought the original colors were more muted and kind of blended in a little bit more with the surroundings. That's just the gray. I put my key fob there so you could see the white. That's the white trim, the Arctic white trim. So, but this is an affordable housing project. The town encourages us to expedite these applications, and this is not a whimsical request. They just couldn't get the stuff they wanted to in the beginning, and will you look at that?
Oh,
Why, there it is.
it is.
I think it'll look just fine. As I said, I wish this trim was not so bright, but I think it'll be fine. It's perfectly compatible with the roofing and everything else. I think it'll set in nicely. So, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Only that because we could not get the gray birch, which is a slightly warmer color.
Right.
We felt the cobblestone didn't work at all.
Yep.
But we
I
felt
get it.
we'd
Yeah.
keep it. I do have a sample if you'd care to take a look at it.
Of the white?
Yeah.
Oh, great. That'd be great.
It's called Arctic white.
Yes.
But the name is a little deceptive. It's actually
Mhm.
creamy. So it is this
Mhm.
here.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not that blue-white. I thought it
Hold
was.
it up against the
Yeah, that's a
against
great
the
idea.
siding, and then
Yeah.
we can kind of appreciate that. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it's not so bad. And the texture in it'll cut down on that, reflective white capabilities. I'm fine with it. Frankly, I just I thought it was good to see this building, to be congratulatory of the staff at the Housing Authority that's working hard to make these buildings available to our community, and it looks good. Anyhow, does anyone have anything else?
No.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we accept this modification as proposed. May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Okay.
Thank you
Done.
very much.
Thanks. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Okay. Number 3 is the cookery, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-162-1-12.1. I see, Cynthia is here. I'm sorry, I don't know your last name, but we met this morning. Thank you. Okay, so. It's right there. Thank you, dear. All right, so this is the cookery. People here, I'm sure, know of this building. It's been before us for a sign. It's been through the site plan process, which has been arduous. It's residentially zoned. There's a residence on the site as well as this business. And the proposal is to, could you just go back to the front of it, Dan? Thank you, right there, is to replace the front door and windows with 2 sets of Anderson series black double French doors. We'll go and look at that once I get through the description here and this is the existing stuff. And then they're going to move that front door entrance. This is right on Three Mile Harbor Road. I'm sure most of you have been there, maybe bought a smoothie at one point in time. I don't know, but I can't think of anyone that hasn't shopped at this store at some point. But the proposal is to move the front entrance. You could scroll through now to the next one, please, to this side. Now, unbeknownst to me, and Sin and I met early this morning when I was out taking my pictures in a very tardy way. Julie was very tolerant. The gravel that you see beneath the tables and chairs there is actually covering a cement pad that's there. So they're going to move the front door entrance to the side and install a wheelchair accessible walkway for the new side entrance on the pre-existing concrete patio. So this all looks new because they took the trouble, which I'm grateful for as a community member, to paint this rotted siding, which I thought they had already done the siding when I looked at it, although the corner posts were a little suspicious. But it's all been scraped and repainted just to, look good. The roofing has been done. Anyway, remove the old roofing, replace northwest roof with black metal roofing, which they have done. Add one refrigerated walk-in and one freezer walk-in in the back.
Sorry,
Sorry.
black metal roofing?
It's on the flat part. See that flat part that extends out?
This one where the air conditioning is?
Yeah, to the right.
So we had to put the new.
Could you come to the podium, please, Sin?
Not easy getting up, buddy.
No,
We had to, because the roof was in such bad shape.
Right.
We quickly just did new roofing over that.
right,
And we thought, since we put the solar on the other side,
right.
that we thought we should go ahead and do all of it solar. So
Mhm,
that's kind of what we were thinking.
mhm.
And I know that we had sort of already were going to do metal roofing, but once we got the one side of the solar, so that's what our thinking is.
So you're not doing the metal.
We have it.
You have it.
We can do it. We have it. I just.
You have the material, you just haven't installed it.
Yeah, we
Okay,
haven't installed it.
okay, all right. Well, that's good to know because I wasn't clear on that.
Yeah.
And anyway, so they replace the old roofing. I talked about the access. So in the back, if you could just keep scrolling through the photos, you'll see the walk-in in the back. This is the side. This is just, further, that's that right now. They have walk-in coolers that are in a tented area. So they're proposing to build that and have it properly. Oh, that light is inconvenient
Oh,
out
that
there.
looks trashy.
Um,
Sorry.
For their refrigerated units. And this is it's a food business and they have to keep things refrigerated. So,
So what is actually being built? Is a plan?
yeah, there are
Oh.
plans, I'm just showing you what's
Just the pictures of what's
yeah,
there.
this is what's there. So we can go to the next.
Okay.
Okay, you could just scroll through. That's just like inside the tent. This is the north side of the building where the solar panels are. When they put these in, which I think looks great and really helps with the energy efficiency, which is good.
Were they part of an original proposal for this building?
I do not know that. I don't know if they were.
Yes, this got approved. This went
Yeah?
through the whole
I
process.
couldn't
yeah.
remember. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then if we could just look at the elevations, please, so we can show the board what the doors are going to look like and and there's also lighting proposed, but they're, downlit lighting. Although I have a question about the sign in the front, but we'll get to that later. I'm just waiting for Dan to bring up the elevations. Plain and fancy.
I don't know if that I have the.
Oh, really?
Our file.
Okay. Well, we kind of need those. There must be something. Well,
They're in Kathy's.
yeah, well, these are just copies that aren't very, and these are the doors, I guess, and.
I had a question about the doors. So you say they're black
Is this the new front
frames,
elevation?
black doors?
Well, yeah, just metal, like
Sure.
Right.
sort of a classic
Like
French,
this?
No, I understand. So, but then does that mean that are you repainting the trim on the other windows?
Yeah, exactly. So it was going to be black with the gray and that was the thought.
Okay.
Is there a rendering of what the new
Yeah, you
entrance
should
will
have-
look like?
You have
Here,
everything.
is this the side entrance? Is this supposed to be the side entrance or that's the front, isn't it, with the awning?
Yeah, that's
Right.
that's not it. Yeah. Though.
Yeah, I don't think I have the side entrance. Right, well, we have to, that's part of the, yeah.
So we're looking at the changes to the front facade, the awning, including the awnings, the construction of the walk-in refrigerator area.
Yeah, this is the
Right.
cooler. Yeah, this is
And
the,
lighting. Is that-
Sin, is this meant to be the cooler that you're going to put on there?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much, yeah.
Is that a separate building?
Oh, so
or-
it's just a.
Yeah, it's going to be
one of
added on
those-
behind. Yeah, it's
walk-in
going to
cooler
replace the
instead of
tent.
what's
It
there.
is the building.
And
It is the building, exactly.
The cooler is a building. Yeah,
It's like the ones they have behind the Amagansett stores. I've
Right.
seen. Yeah, we've
Right.
approved this.
right. Okay. So, I guess we don't have those dimensions.
Sit here.
Is that it?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. You know what I don't see, which I would like to see, is the handicapped access, like that side wall, the north wall where you're going to put the handicapped access
I'm sorry.
and a door. The north wall where you're putting the handicapped access.
Yes.
I don't see an elevation for that. Like
Is that
a
part of your
drawing.
original submission?
Yeah. everything
Yeah,
is in
so
the
that was in the
original.
original submission. So it's not a modification. It's part
No.
of the original submission.
Right, but we didn't approve it because it still needed site plan. So I don't
Oh, we
have the
haven't?
original.
Oh,
No.
okay.
I mean, I don't know that we did. Did we?
We did have it. It's been about a year and a half.
I know, but what
Well, we
she's
had
saying
the
is have we
submission,
approved
but I
it?
don't think we approved it because you needed site plan. Generally,
Right, we had to go back and do the.
you had to get site plan approval before we could approve your submission. So the problem that I'm having with this is because I can't remember and we don't seem to have,
Well,
which
it's- yeah,
frustrates me.
And pulled out from the original
Yes, exactly.
submission.
Yes, exactly. So do you have anything in the file, Julie, that can help us?
The only thing I have is, and for some reason it's not in there digitally, is this elevation.
Yeah, that's what I have, but that's
But
not.
it's not in there.
Wasn't there that beautiful binder?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
You had submitted the most
Yeah, it was really
exquisite.
pulled together.
Oh, you guys gave me
presentation.
great compliments about
See,
it.
I
and
I
No, it
remember.
hasn't.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
I had asked her for a brand new submission.
Okay, well, we
Did a
don't,
whole new application and everything.
Not complete.
okay, well, then we should have rescheduled it until the application was complete because we can't really act on this tonight without that visual. All right, well, if you can just maybe work with, I'm really sorry how frustrating this is. I know you've been through the ringer. I'm not, we'll have to find, or if you can resubmit that. We need that one elevation with the handicapped access. We need to be able to see that, to be able to say, yes, this works. My instinct is it,
The site planning, wouldn't that have, they must, I mean, because they approved it.
We're a different agency completely.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, the site plan, they might have had it, I don't know, but we don't really have access to those files because this is the architecture. I think if you could just resubmit, we'll put you on the next meeting and, try to expedite this. I'm sorry. I thought we had that, but we don't, I
About
understand.
your sandwich board sign you have in front of the store too?
Sandwich board?
Yeah, you have a two-sided, it's called a sandwich board sign. It's on the sidewalk in front. It's freestanding sign.
Oh, that nasty thing?
Yeah, you're not allowed to have that.
Okay, there you go. Okay,
It's, they're
All right.
prohibited under the town code.
okay.
I've
Now-
heard that. That's what was said.
Okay, the only other thing, and we talked about this morning, is that sidewalk, but
Yeah.
that Springs Fireplace Road is a county road. Did you get a chance to talk to the highway department?
I did leave a message.
Okay, so they may be able to guide you more on that, but it's a county road, so we don't have jurisdiction over that. So that's something that's gonna have to be sorted. But if you can just maybe work with Julie, she'll help you find what it is you need to submit so that we can act on this. Okay, I'm sorry.
All right,
Okay,
thank
have a
you.
good evening. Okay, so that was number 3. We're on number 4, business sign Madison IT Group, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-172-6-3. I see Miss Leverrier is here. And Diane, this is yours.
Yes. The two Dianes.
Yes, it's spelled the same way, isn't it?
Yes, Diane is Diane with 2 N's.
Mhm.
It's very rare.
We're about our 2 ends.
It's a unique quality.
I should think so.
Um,
Okay.
So this is the Madison IT Group in Amagansett that has been before us before. There was some question about the owner, that the appropriateness of the fully executed owner's authorization for the sign,
Right.
for that business to exist, it's all been accomplished. And so that is off the table. So all what we're left with is the sign. And this sign, which is 2 by 4 feet, which you can see from both sides, which equals 16 square feet, is perfectly fine. But in the windows, there are 2 more signs. So could you show my picture? And they're sort of innocuous in their way, but they are 2 signs that are also 2 by 4 feet. And the nice guys in the store explained that they understood that it only counted as a window sign if it was a decal on the window. And I, after consulting with David, no, a sign in the window is a sign in the window. So I think that, David, you have had further conversation with them?
With with council, and she said that they were going to just take the signs down.
That's
They're going to
great.
take the signs down.
So
Well, if that's the case, then I think everything is fine.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions for Diana, the applicant? Okay, would you like to make did you have anything you'd like to say, Ms. Leverrier?
Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, Diane, would you like to make a
So,
motion with that condition?
With the understanding that these freestanding open signs in the windows are going to be removed, then I make a motion that we accept this application as submitted.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, David.
Enjoy
pleasure.
your summer. All right, next up is beer and smoke, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-197-2-11.1. Hey, Will, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good, thanks. This is Frank's, and I'll turn it over to Frank.
Okay. This is an application for a business sign in the Wainscott Shopping Plaza, which has come before this board a couple of times. Under consideration is a 10-foot by 2-foot, which is 20 square foot business sign for beer and smoke, as you can see there. The applicant has come back to us with 2 proposed signs, both the same size and font, but with different backgrounds. One is navy blue background, the other one is dark teal, presumably to match the trim on
The building.
on the building. Of note, but my understanding that it's not part of this application is the red door. That the door is currently not red, but the rendering does show this. Are we, is this part of the application? Presumably this isn't part of the application, right? So,
No, that was an old picture that I guess it was painted green since then. So this has just been kicking around for so long that
Yeah.
oh,
That's that, now, because that was my recollection. I think last year or the year before, I can't
yeah, when there was
remember.
a pop-up in there, I think they painted it
Exactly.
red, yeah.
And then it was painted red.
Right.
And the landlord then, I think, yes. Okay.
So when we went and measured this and did this rendering, it was probably in, I don't know, April. So that's how long this has kind of been going on.
right. So the application also includes, we've talked about this before, what is in the application says a directory sign, but it's not a directory sign.
That's been removed from the,
That's removed from the scope. I don't know, I guess this is a code enforcement issue of what happens on that sign on Montauk Highway, correct?
correct.
Okay. So it's before the board for us, what we think of this new proposed sign. I mean, I think it's definitely an improvement for
It is better.
Much
for what we
better.
have. It seems a little, seems a little large. Like that's, like if there were if there were 4 words in the business establishment, I'd get it, but it's like pretty loud, beer and smoke. But
I just also wanted to bring to your attention that this is now up around the corner.
and it's not approved.
Not approved, but that should be code enforcement and possibly on top of
It's
that.
already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know that there was an issue with the red and that thing's massive. So,
Yeah. I thought it might be the same one
right.
The beer and smoke, the
Right.
chicken place.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I
very
saw that and I was like, come on.
obvious. But I'm favorable toward the green, the lower proposal. I think it's
Yeah, the
more
blue didn't seem
harmonious.
to make any sense to me with the complex. There's not really any-
No, that was, you did a good job.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, thinking that through.
It
So I
makes-
agree.
It makes the beer and smoke seem a little less.
A little more
stands
passive.
out.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
And with the door not being red, also it'll be all more.
It'll be more
harmonious.
harmonious.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't know where people stand. I guess I mean, I'd prefer to see a little smaller, but I understand it like this, it fits in to the surrounding the frame. So, I guess I'm willing to go with it. How do other people feel?
Well, I agree with Esperanza that the teal is the way to go. I think you did a good job with that, Will. And the door is a distraction, but because it's not like that now. The door matches the trim, right? It's
Yep.
yeah. So I would like it to be smaller, but I think at this point this is sufficient. It's not ideal, but it's sufficient.
Right, and just to, the other issue with the size was, with the concern of the street, I guess, I don't know if you'd call them directories, but freestanding signs, if those are going to be removed, ultimately, they need as much visibility from the road as they can.
Right. Yeah,
Well, can you bring up the photos, the site photos from April 26th?
Why?
I mean, this is significantly larger than, no, there's some other ones. At least in my folder. It is going to be bigger than the Barry's boot camp.
It just has those two.
Okay, well,
I don't know, photos,
Yeah,
our
I don't
folders
get it.
matching
Yeah,
up.
I don't understand that either.
Frustrating.
There's something, yeah, just gonna have to address that.
Well, you can sort of, if that's the only photo we have, you can see how it's going to be it's going to be kind of large compared to Barry's boot camp.
Right.
is boot camp still there?
I think
It
so.
was in April, but
It was in April. Oh, maybe it's not now.
so
There we
I
go.
don't know if you can imagine the
Still-
scale of beer and smoke compared to the other ones, but
Well, the walk-in beer and smoke, when we had them remove walk-in, so it
be
just makes beer and smoke.
enormous beer
Larger.
and smoke.
Yeah.
And there's the new color door.
Oh, yes.
Well, that is the
That's the present color.
present color. Yeah, exactly.
It's good enough.
Yeah, I think I'm willing to go. I wish it was smaller, but I'm willing to go with this. Unless, you guys could take it down a notch. What do you think, Diane?
I think beer and smoke, it's so blatantly what it is,
Mhm.
Maybe if the sign could be a few feet less in width. I mean, it seems to me, because the Barry's Boot Camp sign, I mean, it's,
Oh, I see what you mean. This
it's
one is long and narrow and his is, yeah.
I just think, I mean,
it's just,
if
and
I
you
were
sort
to,
of centered it over the door more, and I don't know.
Well, that has to kind of go there because there's a frame that it sits in. That's
yeah, I
an
think the
existing
door is
structure.
just off center from that entryway. There's not much they can do about that piece of it.
I mean, I would
Would
just
it- would-
prefer to see a slightly smaller font.
Font
Yeah.
smaller or thinner? Would it be more palatable? I mean, I hate to have him come back. It's just been
No, I
such a long
can't.
I
thing.
know,
can't,
and
I
we
can't.
obviously want to, it's better than having all the banners and stuff that's up there now, but
Right, well,
it is, I'm just letting you know, it is going to seem large. But it's not like this is set in the back of the shopping plaza. This is right on the highway. So it's going to scream at you
mhm.
right now, the scale of it.
That's the point.
Well,
It's
this is the whole point.
advertising.
Right.
So I think I think now it's just become beer and smoke. I think to me, the
Well, can we-
lettering is too big.
Can we condition an approval on maybe reducing the size of the lettering a little bit? Will, would you be okay with that?
Like a less bold or a smaller letter altogether?
We need to see it again.
Sorry, this has been a tricky.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think it's,
I'm
It
uncomfortable
hasn't
making
changed
them
really
come back
since the
again.
last time. It's just less wording.
It's just the color, right? Yeah.
So
Yeah,
How long has this been going on?
I don't know
that's,
that.
it feels exhaustive
Will
to
says
me.
since
Yeah.
April.
So, yeah, it's been a long time.
I don't know.
Well, let's poll the board. How many people think we should get another submission? And do you feel like that, Diane?
What?
Would you like to see another submission? I'm just polling the board. This isn't a vote. It's just a,
I would love to see it reduced in some way. It's
Okay.
just so
It's
I mean,
bold.
it's-
big and bold.
Mooney?
Within compliance.
Esperanza.
Sorry?
It's within compliance. It's 20 square feet. It's less than what's been approved in the past. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I
let
mean,
me,
technically though, right now, because he
mean-
still has that freestanding sign that he hasn't taken down, he's in excess of the
Esperanza, what do you think about having them come
permissible
back?
square footage.
Well, they would be allowed 32 if that was included.
Usually I'm inclined.
That's not included, it's an illegal sign. So,
Right, well, those are just temporary banners, so those would be.
no, the sign that's on 27 on Montauk Highway.
Yeah, those are banners. Those are
That's
just-
not a banner. The one that's the directory sign?
It's pretty prominent.
Those are little banners.
Frank has it.
So that's not a permissible temporary sign either, then. You're allowed one permissible temporary sign.
Okay,
And so.
The A-bluff sign is
I don't
quite
think it's
large.
Yeah,
it's in compliance when you
yeah.
factor that in.
In a
That
perfect
right now, he
world,
has legal
yeah.
signage in the front.
I mean, it is a
Okay.
business.
And so when you add this to that,
well,
you're
it's not-
over 32.
no, those both add up to 32 exactly, I believe.
Well,
I'm
he's,
just, you know.
he's got illegal signage on the property right
Right,
now.
yeah.
It's like it's too much right now.
We can easily remove that, you know, that's something that was originally part of the permit, that's why it's still there.
Okay,
Didn't finish pulling the board.
right, so Esperanza, what's your
Yeah,
sense?
I mean, I do think it's very bold, but you've been here sufficient times. I think it's time to move on with this.
Okay, Chip?
I'm okay with it.
I'm with Diane.
Okay.
Okay.
So, how does this work if I'm not supporting it,
You
but
can make the motion and
I can
vote
still make the
against it.
motion? Okay.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to approve the application as presented with the teal background.
Are there any conditions here? Do we have the?
How's the signage? I mean, the size.
At 20, it's 10 feet by 2 feet
It's
as
20 square
presented.
feet. It's
Okay.
within, it's
I
correct.
would
you
just
know,
call that out in the,
Okay.
Mhm.
I make a motion to approve the sign at 10 feet by 2 feet as presented with the option of the teal background to match the windows and doors.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, are you opposed, Diane?
No, she said
No.
aye.
Oh, she said aye. I'm sorry, I thought that was you, Mooney. Okay, so it passes 4-1. Okay.
Great.
Go in peace.
Thank you.
Look at this every-
Okay. We are on to item number 6. Oh, sorry. Now 6, 7, and 8. This is a fence over 3 lots, but it's the owner, it's one owner, and Mr. Darrell is here to represent the owner.
Charming.
We are at Suffolk County. I'm going to read all 3 of them into the record, David. Is that okay?
yes, Chair, that is
Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-103-8-21. It's 484 Old Stone Highway. And then Suffolk County Lot Number 2 is Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-103-8-20. It's 480 Old Stone Highway. And then Lot Number 3 is Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-103-8-18, which is 200 Neck Path. Oh, perfect. You've got the survey up. Thank you. So this, can you just enlarge it a little bit, Dan, so to the area that we're considering, which is yeah, that's good. Thank you. Okay, so this is Frank's application, and we'll hear from Frank, and then we'll see if Mr. Yes, thank you.
Okay, can you bring up the, so that's the site showing, that's the survey showing all 3 lots. There are 2 residences at the left, those are on Old Stone Highway, and there is a lot with an accessory structure on the one on the right, which is on Neck Path. So this is an application to modify the fencing in 3 lots in Springs near the corner of Old Stone Highway and Neck Path. The lots comprise 2 residences next to each other on Old Stone Highway, as well as a lot facing Neck Path that currently has a large shed on it. The applicant is requesting approval for several modifications to the fencing on this property. Overall, the applicant wishes to fence in most of the properties contiguously with 8-foot-high deer fencing and remove the existing fencing within the property, within the proposed fencing, is that will no longer be needed. Currently, there are many gates and several types of fencing on these lots. My understanding is the owner would like to keep the gates and connect the deer fencing to them. Can you bring up the site photos?
Yeah.
We can run through those. The gates, and let me talk about the gates when they come up. So I've kind of keyed the survey. This is the view of, so to the right there is the one facing, of which there is not a residence, facing Neck Path. And there's a commercial building. So it's got the 3 lots kind of wrap around this commercial building. It's a corner. Keep going. This is looking back on it. There's a low fence there, and then there's more fencing to the right, you'll see. Okay, so here's some about 8-foot-high posts and 7-foot deer fencing. There are gates. These are typically 7-foot-6 high gates. That's facing Neck Path. Keep going. There is so there's an orchard here. This is also looking back at Neck Path that the owner is concerned about the deer eating the orchard. So there's currently tall fencing around that now. Keep going. In Neck Path, there's this tall gate to the left of it. That is to remain at about 7'6". Keep going. There's another view of the gate with this. It's a nice accessory structure beyond it, shed. Next photo. And then the shed is to the left. This is one of those, it's kind of a typical gate you'll see. This is facing the neighborhood, the neighbor to the west. And then this is within the property. There's a tall gate, there's a gazebo, and you can see the fencing running between 2 lots. Like this is fencing running on the property line between the 2 residential lots that goes all the way up. And the owner wants to take that, my understanding, the owner wants to take that out once the deer fencing is around the property. Keep going. Okay, so when you go, I don't have a picture of the house, but you actually like drive in through almost like a carriage entry to the back side of the house you're looking at, of which there is, so it's a question of mine of whether what you're looking at here is fencing or whether this is some architectural structure. So those is about 7. Those don't exceed 8 feet, but they're about 7.5 feet to 8 feet. The gates typically are about 7.5 feet, like that one beyond. Keep going. Just looking back, so it kind of wraps around the driveway. There's actually like a 4-foot-high mesh fence subtly within that, and there are these tall gates. These gates are kind of prevalent throughout the property. There's the backside of it. Keep going. And then this is actually on the other side of the driveway, and we're looking actually towards Old Stone Highway. This is wrapping around a vegetable garden. And I actually find the fence kind of works with the architecture of the house. I find it kind of elegant. So this is the other house. This is the one furthest down Old Stone Highway, and this is their back patio, of which you have the similar fencing, you have the similar gates. Keep going. This is right near it. It kind of steps down, and you have, I mean, it's beautiful gardens in there, and I think it's quite well done. They're just tall. Those, my understanding, those the owner would like to keep all those. And Kathy, if you want to pass that down, you can.
Well, this one's mine. I passed.
Oh, you did pass it down. Okay. I think that's the last photo. So there's a lot to consider here. I think the big question is how the board feels about wrapping, basically sort of encircling the property and 8-foot-high deer fencing. Um, I'm not totally opposed to it, but I think we should talk about the specifics of that. Trevor, do you want to talk about, you mentioned to me, but I don't have a drawing of like what exactly the fencing, like the poles would be?
Yes, I did email based on some earlier conversations with my technologically ineptitude. So I did try to email Julia one that she was going to circulate to the board. I don't know if it got to it in time.
I'm putting it up right now.
Okay, there you go. So this is a picture that I took over at Spring Close Farm. So this is actually not on our property, but this is the concept of the type of fencing I had when I was discussing this application with Alex Balsam, who's also, you probably all know, and his fencing is similar to protect his agricultural fields. And he was put me in touch with the company out of Pennsylvania who installed his fences. This is sort of the material and style of fencing that the applicant would like to install.
I see those big heavy posts. Yeah.
Right. And my client is here in the property. And to Frank's point, the parcels were not all owned at one time. So just the Savage has over time been lucky enough to accumulate his neighboring parcels. And what's not shown on these and on the survey is the parcel to our south is actually a 17-acre parcel that's owned by the town, which is vacant, which is a haven for the deer to hang out in. And what you would obviously notice that what is absent from all of these parcels is pools. There are no pools, so we don't have safety issues as far as, self-latching gates and that type of stuff. But my client and applicant is very much a steward and of the property and the land, and is very much involved in his plantings and puts great time and care into these lawns and development of the property and plantings. And anybody who's walked back there would see that it's vegetated with many different types of species. And what sort of prompted this initial application was the one vacant parcel that does have the orchard, is what we call it, which is most sort of in line with the agricultural thought process. And when he planted those, they're all fruit trees. And he's never borne a piece of fruit, because every time they start to sprout,
Blossom,
the deer
yes.
find their way in.
Someone
there
else
to
eats them, yeah.
So while they are all individually wrapped, it's with that sort of plasticky, not really, sufficient fencing. So the goal with this application, and we've met several times before even submitting to the board to try to be in compliant with the code as far as the encompassing percentage-wise of the lots. So if you see on the overall map, I did have the surveyor put on there that when you do the totality of the map that's proposed, we're encompassing 57% of the lots in total. The math is, we're trying to stay within sort of the intent of the law, even though we're three separate parcels. We didn't do it as individual. We're doing it sort of as one total, but, and with the understanding that those existing fences that run in the inwards of the property would be removed so that it's all free flowing. And the applicant does have walking paths throughout the property, which are were compartmentalized with the fences. And that's why some of those gates that are inside of the property lines wouldn't be needed, but the ones to the exterior, we would like to keep. And on the vacant parcel, which is the one larger gate, which would be for, several times a year when he does have to bring in the mulch and the fertilizers and bringing the clippings out, he needs to have sort of vehicular access in and out of that property. And I would just note that because the board, and I understand its concern with large gates, and this is often in the applications coming before you is for gates on the street. I think when looking at this property, it's not a residential lot. It's not the normal we want a driveway gate type of situation. And what's not on the survey, but I did discuss it with Frank on the property, is that the proposed fencing and gate is actually proposed to be at 35 feet off the street. On that lot, because it is a residential lot, even though we treat it as agricultural, the principal building structure is actually only 30 feet. So in theory, somebody could put a structure or a house at 30 feet which would be much more sort of assuming then this gate will be at 35 feet from the street. The applicant doesn't want to block off the view of his properties. So that's why he's not proposing to vegetate it out and screen it out, because he thinks, the natural, the light, and it is what's, so great about this parcel is that the existing vegetation that's already in there that is visible with the fruit trees and things being able to actually flourish and grow. With that,
Okay.
Sort of
Thank you.
the concept as a whole, and I'm happy to answer any specific questions.
I would like to say, yes, that I've had the privilege, the pleasure of seeing this property. And I know that Mr. Savage is a very sensitive, imaginative man, and the gardens reflect this. And I think that, considering this is the proposal of this going to be this encompassing fence, and I know that it has been very seriously thought through, and I normally am not in favor of enclosing a whole property, but I think that to enclose this property in this manner is fine.
I mean, I'm more open to enclosing a property in 8-foot deer fencing than I am 6-foot stockade fencing.
No, definitely.
By far.
This is a very sensitive.
Well, they're not enclosing the whole property. They're just enclosing the backyard and an extra lot. So it's really, we look at this all the time, and people can put deer fencing in their backyards, and we're more liberal about it. But this is just really the back 57% or whatever. It's like, it's sort of a standard thing, but it has agricultural overlays and gardens, which make it a little special. But I don't see an issue with this.
Good.
Can I just ask, I just wanted to ask a question about the height of the posts as depicted over there. Are those 8 feet or 10 feet? Because I remember.
So this is only meant to be.
This is Springs Fire.
Yeah, this is the.
I know what it is. Yes, I'm just.
It's meant to be an 8-foot fence. So
okay.
Yeah, because these are taller, right?
I know that, but these are 10 feet. That's why I'm bringing it up. Right. I know but because that's agricultural land.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's the point. That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make is that.
The material is what I wanted to.
I get it. I just wanted to make sure because that looks much taller than 8 feet. And I remember we did 10 feet
This
there.
is commercial and his is residential.
No, understood. It just, my question is, so then it's not deer fencing that's being proposed, it's agricultural fencing at 8 feet.
Agricultural fencing of that type of material to prevent deer. Okay. Yes, the plastic.
For the same purpose that agricultural fencing is. I mean, I was driving here. I just saw, I go past Long Lane all the time, and it's just crazy. The deer are just all over the place. You can't grow anything unless you have a
kinds of, because he has such a large swath of land that neighbors him.
I guess the only thing, and just forgive my meanderings. But do we run into any trouble, David, with this going forward in terms of this being residential land and treating this as though it's agricultural? I just don't want to set a precedent here that we'll regret at some point. I mean, because it is residentially zoned land, and we generally.
It's within the permissible limits of the code.
Okay, I just want to.
Looking at 10 foot, then I think that would.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I just want to flesh it out.
Understood.
So, in case there's something else.
And I think too that because it's the same ownership and it's probably very unlikely that the board will encounter too many similarly situated properties.
I get it. I'm inclined toward it. I just want to make sure I'm thinking everything through.
You're on solid ground.
So just another question then, given the style of the fencing. So just to be clear, is that going to be also the type of fencing that is within the property, sort of where it's depicted here on the survey, in the area that in Frank's pictures could be seen from the Belgian block driveway? No, that's the fencing that's existing there, correct?
That would
that's
remain
the gridded fencing.
Yeah, so we tried to label it where it's on red on the map. It's hard. It's kind of hard to see, but
red.
Where red.
It's not red on this survey. They're all green.
Okay, mine's all kinds of marked up. If I can I approach you?
Sure.
So just
Ah,
Here, the key down here.
we don't have the benefit of that. Yeah. Okay.
But basically, these ones are the exist. I put in orange for my own to be able to differentiate, but that's the photo that he was showing you. That's this on the cobblestone. So that would remain as that existing.
Okay. So actually, I was asking about this one. So that is going to be the agricultural fencing?
Correct.
Oh, okay. It's pretty intense in that area, no? If he wants to look at that, okay. I'm just, that's why I was curious. Yeah.
So a couple of thoughts of mine. Personally, like I understand that doing the agricultural fencing posts to try to give it kind of a agricultural feel, but I would need to know what the proposed post size is.
Yeah.
To me, like proportionally, that works on a 10-foot fence. Once you apply that to, it's going to look awfully beefy.
Yeah,
That's why I'm asking that question of this particular area. Yeah.
I think I'm fine with the 8-foot deer fence, but I'm not.
So we do have that information. It's a 4-foot post, 4-inch post.
4-inch.
Same material.
4-inch diameter.
Okay.
It's a
So
smaller
it's
scale
right.
because
It's not
right.
chunky.
I can get that from the fence company. For your file as well.
I'd actually even like to see like a sample of that, just to.
It's the diameter is 4
4-inch diameter.
4
right.
Just round, not square.
So it's like a 4
Yeah, it's not your square CCA post.
Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing, the gate that's facing Neck Path, that is kind of big. Let's go back to the photos.
That's existing, isn't it?
It's the existing gate. It's not to say I don't like the gate, but it is quite large, and I kind of feel like, I don't know how other people feel, that if you're going to do the agricultural fencing, that I'd want to see like an agricultural gate instead. Instead of that.
And that gate would be replaced by the agricultural.
There's no objection to that.
Like a wooden, you mean the wooden kind, not the metal kind, because that sometimes is the case.
Well, sort of like wood framed
the
Right.
with deer
Not a
fencing.
cattle metal steel.
You know what I'm talking about,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm trying to keep
exactly,
in the
not a-
character of the spirit of what.
Not a cattle.
Mhm.
gate.
Yeah, not a cattle.
Right.
Yeah, which
So
would be
that's-
even
that's
more
one thing.
Mhm.
the less opacity.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, so going like to the last few slides. So these are well above 6 feet, and it's not deer fencing. Presumably, I actually didn't check that there's no CO for these fences. I'm going to assume that we can check that, but presumably we'd be approving these fences too. Or are these fences?
Yeah. They're
Okay.
depicted as fences here.
Okay. So
But, right? Oh, it's-
they're above 6 feet. Can we approve fencing above 6 feet? So it's not
I think
deer
we all
fencing?
stop at the front half of the house
Yeah.
at the 6 feet.
It's up to 8 feet in that vicinity.
Because
There are some that are
Primary
forward of the,
surrounding
forward of
50
the,
foot. Weren't they sort of
Oh.
agricultural?
forward of the house.
Where the forward of the house?
Just go back.
I think on the one.
Here,
front
this
garden,
side?
maybe,
Yeah, that one.
That one.
I think like.
Where
you
the
have the
bocce
survey.
court is?
That's a garden.
It
You
says
have the
bocce
survey. I
court.
can't.
That's amazing.
Nice, find the other one.
So I presume it's this one? This is the only one that is the red one, right?
That's the Belgian blonde driver.
It's existing.
Mhm.
That one.
This would be forward of the house, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah, that one also. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so it's the lot 2 we're calling, I think.
In between the two houses, yes?
In between the two houses,
Yeah,
you'll see
where
the
there's a brick
fence.
walk.
That is the vegetable garden.
The vegetable garden. It says
Yeah.
4
It's already
feet.
growing.
What's
yes.
this?
So I think that in that, and I would have to speak to the applicant, but I think we would make it code compliant at that, anything front of the house.
So I can't tell. I'm assuming it looks like it's breaking the 50 feet. Is it 50 feet to the pavement or 50 feet to the? Can you go above 6 feet for a fence if it's 50 feet from the pavement or 50 feet from the property line?
It's 50 feet from the edge of the pavement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's
So
not depicted here, but it looks like it might actually meet that.
this is to the right corner of the house on lot, I guess, the middle house, right?
Yeah, that's
It says
64 feet.
64 and a half. So the fencing that we're talking about is just forward of that.
Yeah.
So I think it might.
It might make it.
And I mean, that's also 64 feet to the property line, not the pavement.
Well,
Yeah.
all the more reason.
Right, that it would be, right, that it's likely 50 feet. I'm guessing that's 50 feet.
Mhm.
It looks- Yeah,
I didn't bring my ruler with me.
Yeah.
But
right. Well, I
Certainly.
think if that meets that criteria,
It's set back enough
yeah, and it is attractive.
for us to.
It's not, it's an attractive structure.
Very tasteful.
It's meant to be it's not meant to be
Right,
a block from,
right,
Yeah,
right.
it's not a
yeah.
wall.
No, it's not a wall. Right, exactly.
Right.
It's an
And the gates within the property that are around the property that are like basically 4-foot gates with the
way above.
with the like pergola above, like, are those, go back?
Those.
Yeah, that's a good picture. So David, what is the code again on something like this where it's is it like an architectural feature that?
Part of the gate, the fence.
So it's a component of the fence. And what is your specific question about it? It's subject to the same
so it
height
can go up
limitations.
to 8 feet.
Yes, in the side and the rear yard.
And these are measuring, I think, 7'6",
Mhm.
I think is what we.
I mean, they're like spread throughout the property, and it's a little complex because, there are 3 lots, and so whether it's the side yard and.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would help us to have a list of those,
Yeah, something that we could
some
call out
way,
in the
because
approval
when
of
we make the
each one.
resolution, we're gonna
But
have to say
yeah,
What's staying
Put
and
them on
what's
the map.
going.
what's staying and what's going. Excuse me?
I think we're
Have them labeled, gates 1 through what are we, going in a.
There's
Yeah,
gonna be
that's a great
like
idea.
Survey of the gates.
Fine.
Yeah, a survey of the gates. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, well, I mean, I think it
I think
may
the one
require
interior is going to
that.
be removed anyway, so that's
Mhm.
part, so
Yeah.
the exterior gates, we can call them out. Sure.
And then
Have them
like
set the distance on the front, so we have that.
excellent.
then I'd like to see a picture or something of this 4-foot diameter
Sure, I'll get the
deer face.
fence company.
And then do you want to see the design for the agricultural gate that you're proposing to replace the one on Long Neck Path?
Is it only one?
Yeah, just the one
Well, it's
is that on
2
the
leaves.
others are all
I've learned
Just
that.
pedestrian type?
pedestrian, yeah.
Okay.
2 leaves, right? The green.
Yeah, I'm fine with the size, keeping it, just come back with a
And the
proposal for
design,
that,
right?
like same size presumably, just, I think you would have like a gate to kind of match the framing,
Okay,
you
we'll
know?
get that forthwith.
Keep it open.
Okay. Do you have any other
Well, I was
questions?
just going to ask about this.
Yeah, okay. I was, but you can do
Go
it.
ahead.
No, go for it.
No, just on the far left of the survey, there's some red marked, it's the existing fencing to remain that appears to be outside the property line.
Right.
So
Ask you.
It's over down on the, you have to scroll up a little bit. It's outside of we have to go down to the roadside. Yeah.
there, yeah, and then
And just
zoom in
enlarge it
to
a
that
little if you
right where
would,
your
please. Yep,
cursor is,
that
yeah.
was right where the cursor was, yeah. See that little bit of pink there? It's on the screen, Trevor, probably easier to see it on that.
Yeah, so
Is
That-
that this?
I don't believe that's our fence, so where it says 2.2 feet over, I'll have to confirm.
Below that too, yeah.
And just because
It'll be put onto,
right, but
property.
just if that's the town's property, right? Yeah, so then we just want to know whose fence that is.
because it doesn't tie into any of the
One in
fencing.
the easement.
Yeah, it just kind of is.
Oh,
floating
is
there.
this the one in the easement?
One with the.
Oh, this is the one in the, no?
Okay, sorry.
No, we have no
Yeah.
easements.
We didn't even talk about the fencing in the easement, right?
Where is the
We don't
easement?
have easements on this. Yeah.
Well, which one is this then?
Oh,
Is
no,
that a
that's the
different one? Oh, the next one. Yeah. Okay, right. Thank you. Okay.
No, but yeah, I'll go
There's
look at it because it doesn't tie into either of our fences that I can see on the survey.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I know. It's just on the survey, so we noticed it being outside the property line, and that it happens from time to time,
Yes,
as
no,
you know.
understood.
Yes, okay. All right,
We'll
so
clean that up for
does
sure.
anybody have any other questions to the applicant? Frank, are you satisfied?
Yep.
Okay, so,
Send you a letter of these requirements.
yeah, we'll send you a follow-up letter with the full to-do list, and then we'll get you on as soon as we can. But
Thank
I
you.
think so far you're favorably,
Yeah, I think
this is a
everybody's
favorably, we're favorably
Yeah, we'll get it
disposed.
cleaned up
Okay,
and we'll go from there.
yep, sounds
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you. Frank, this is yours. Would you pass that to Frank, please? Okay, we are up to number 9, 2 Old House Lane LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-159-1-3.5. I see the applicants are here. Welcome back. And this is Chips.
So this is an application to substantially remodel a somewhat derelict house on a 1-acre lot in the large subdivision off Long Lane. It is down a flag lot driveway, off a circle on a small cul-de-sac, and substantially surrounded by woods. Because some of the neighboring houses in this 1990 subdivision abut preserved farmland, this property is included in that designation. It has a 50-foot wide scenic easement across the back of the property. That easement is now all woods, and there is a 4-foot high wire fence in the easement running behind the back of the house. At our last visit to this application on April 27th, the applicant indicated they would substantially alter the current traditional shingle-style 1990s home. While we were favorable to this remodeling, renovation, reimagining, we asked for better architectural renderings, more details on materials, and consistent math on the increased square footage of the new house. The new application, this application, is more detailed with tear sheets on new windows, doors, and lighting, which will reimagine it and take it from a traditional shingled-style house to a contemporary farmhouse style. Square footage would slightly increase from 4,205 square feet to 4,530 square feet. That's an up increase of 325 for the house. Enlarged 2-story porches across the back would increase from 75 square feet to 830 square feet, up 755 square feet. A freestanding outdoor fireplace would be part of these porches and decks across the back of the house. Our planner, David Gross, found language in the original subdivision documents that the fencing, no fencing is allowed in the 50-foot easement across the back. And in fact, that any fencing you put has to be 10 feet into your property off that easement. So that wire fence would have to be removed and repositioned. I think it would kind of clip the current pool, but very close. I'll let the applicants fill us in.
Good evening.
Good evening. Would you just state your names for the record, please?
Lina Gil Mileszczyk.
Jarosław Mileszczyk.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, where we start? Then to the gate. The gate was existing. They were removing that gate. We put the.
Can you enlarge that for us, Dan, please?
Pardon me?
I was just asking our planner to enlarge it so we could get a better look at what you're talking about.
All the gates, it's existing. I don't know who put it. We will remove it because it's, you know, it's falling apart anyway, and it's going to the scenic. We're not planning to put anything there. We put a new proposed fence. Just a deer fence, and at the same time with protection for the pool with a 1-inch holes.
Right, but that fence now has to be 10 feet off that scenic easement.
I saw the showing there, but we can move it up 10 feet. That's not the problem.
Okay, I think it would clip the corner of that pool.
I don't think so.
It'll be close.
Whatever it is, 10 feet, that's 10 feet. We'll make sure then it's not 9 feet. That will be 10
Okay,
feet.
good.
10 and 6 inches, then make sure then we're not crossing the line. That's not the problem. The fence going in I don't know to what side is that. That would be the same kind of fence protection to the pool. And from the neighbor, we just connected because we already have the wood
stockade fence.
Stocking for 6 feet. They wouldn't need to do anything there. What we like to do from the corner of the house to connect it, that look like before was the fence there because you have a post and it would be fenced maybe with a gate, right? Because you have to close it to have it close the pool. We like to put like, some kind of maybe cedar matching the color of the new new cedar color to going the same with the same color in like keeping consistent, and the same size, the same gate from the above the garage in the right hand side in the top, connecting to the deer fence or the 6 feet fence. There will be the same like gate because to the access to the backyard.
So, I mean, in summary, about the side and back of the house would be enclosed with fencing, and the front of the house would be free of fencing, essentially.
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Although so that's all existing right now, what's indicated
That's a
here, right?
mishmash of
Yeah,
all sorts of
okay.
stuff, yeah.
It's a lot of things in that property were not supposed to be, but we try to make sure that's coming back to
Bringing it all into compliance, yeah. Mhm.
We're adding the biggest addition to be visible. It's not visible for us because we'll be in a backyard and it's facing the scenic. That will be the new porches. What we try to achieve. There will be balconies from the bedrooms upstairs, and everybody have access and make a little bit the house will be more interesting. And that's a backyard. Nobody will see. We have a big scenic there, and the neighbor above. We have a lot of trees. It's not visible from the street to anybody. Then we can go to the renderings or drawings and we can look it up more.
Yeah, this house is not visible to anyone from any location, yeah.
Yeah, we try to a little bit clean the house. It's have round edges. We try to a little bit square out.
Dan, can you get to some of the photos?
Yeah. We will change the windows for Anderson. We'll try to put the black, but looking not
Pictures,
modern,
photos.
traditional with the
Photos?
bars.
You want the renderings or the?
Let's look at the photos, what's there now.
Okay.
The photos I sent.
I just want to make sure. So we put the renderings and the photos from the renderings. So
Okay, so that's
existing.
the house as it currently exists
Yeah.
in the front. There'll be, work will be done around the front door, and that joiner to the garage on the right, that will be built out a little bit more substantially.
And between that will be a little bit
Yeah, one roof.
standard, yes.
Next, Dan.
But the pretty much footprint of the house stay existing. We're not building any addition or expansions. It's
Well, back
only
here
the
you will be.
expansion
So this is
Deck.
a deck that will become a 2-story porch with access.
So
to the
that's,
second-
that's increasing the massing.
So we'll have a covered porch and then a second story deck. Is that-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So that does increase that footprint.
Yes, no.
Yes.
No, increasing footprint of the decking, yes, of the.
And of the building.
We're not building new house that extend the square footage of house. We're extending square footage of porches.
Well, that's all considered part of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're not, they're indistinguishable.
I think it's 725 square feet, additional house.
Mhm. Are the numbers reconciled? I mean, because last time I remember looking at this, the numbers were,
Yeah, there was, so we had,
they were all over the map.
I think they're better now.
Every single.
Yeah.
Every submission had a different number on
That
it.
was correct.
so this is behind the pool, the land actually jumps up a little bit.
Mhm.
And this is the scenic easement.
Mhm.
As you can see, it's not agricultural in any sense. It's all grown in woods at this point.
Mhm.
And that easement starts right above the stone wall.
Okay. So the stone wall is on the property.
Yes.
And
Not
with
in the easement.
right, but the easement, okay.
I think that's the pool.
Mhm.
Yeah. With the pool stage, you're just gonna fix it.
Extending it.
Fix it with square.
Yeah.
And we're showing, we're adding like jacuzzi spa in it. That's, that's really much what to do that. But stay existing place, we just, square the corners and extend it for the spa.
It looks like a nice pond. right there.
It's the spa?
No.
Jacuzzi? He said he's adding a
No, on the
jacuzzi to
pool.
the
Yeah, they have a
pool.
spa, like
I
if
know.
you see in a, even
Okay,
you
I'm
see in
looking on the plans though. This
on the
is
drawing
part
or
of
in
our problem
a
with this is
surveyor,
everything
proposed
is
survey,
different.
they're showing there
It does show it on the survey, I saw.
Okay,
the
well,
house.
the
But
plans
there
are-
you see in the top, the right side
All
here,
right.
showing 7 feet.
What is
Here,
this?
proposed wet shelf. Here
Ah,
it is.
okay.
This is
So
it.
it's this thing, Kathy. It's this.
Ah, okay.
So the color is the changes, the additional square foot.
No,
What is the
no,
color?
it's
what is the color?
inconsistent. This says extend existing dormer. This says removed. This is yellow, says removed.
Oh, this is where you're putting in new doors and windows. Is that what this is?
Yes.
Yes.
The stairs window, because that's we cover to, when we put
Yes.
the deck.
This is an extension, but this is being removed. So the yellow is, it's just.
Put the
it's
pictures with the
just
renderings, and you can look it up even more.
So Dan, can you show us a picture of what the new house will
Yeah,
look like?
you have a dog.
Yeah, that. Can you show us?
Better.
I just don't have I don't have them digitally in here, the renderings.
You
yet.
don't have these?
No?
Not rendering, but you should to have this picture.
Yes.
Be part of the
I just don't
application.
have them in my file.
Okay, then.
So this is
An existing house. And this is the new.
There's two, yeah, we noticed. it.
tearing this down?
Because we
or-
sent you guys like the renderings themselves was the attached to the email, like whole renderings, and that's the 360.
And this.
That's what we send it in the emails to application.
Little schematic.
And the pictures was just additional,
As well
and it was
as-
additional, but we provided, what was the link?
There's a link.
There was the link to the renderings when we forward with the application. I can find email. It was what this, and was we even asked the question if that can be.
Yeah,
I can.
Sorry.
he has it right there.
Yeah, we all have it. It's just for the public's benefit as
We all
well.
have it. I think.
Here.
Well,
Couple of us
I
have
mean,
it.
it's.
Yeah, I've sent my
Okay.
copy in that direction, so.
And again, like we did as well, to see a little bit better what we want to do. Go, for example, to A5, then the top drawn to propose, that's the existing. You can see the same page.
Yeah, that isn't what we asked you to do, unfortunately.
It's not.
No, we asked them to bubble it out on the
Well, that's
existing.
kind of the
yeah.
same thing.
Oh, I guess. I mean,
We have accepted
And
that.
the
in the
A6,
past.
that's
okay,
part
well,
of the
he's
house.
got it colored in, stuff that's gonna be
Yellow, that's
removed
the
in yellow
changes, what
also.
It should be done in a structural. You can see it, that's what we touch.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
That's helpful.
So it's going from a traditional shingle house to a modern farmhouse with some alterations to dormers and roof line.
Correct.
Yes.
And all new windows. Yeah.
And all the windows would be new.
Yes. Windows and doors. Windows and doors. Yeah.
This is a flag lot?
White big flag on, yeah. It's down that drive.
But it's an it's agricultural overlay, right? So we have to apply those standards.
Just to mention the numbers, house number 4-2, it's all stucco. And, you know, and with the stones
I
in
see
the
what
front
it
of
is.
it,
It's
with
part
the
of
big
these
windows and
Right.
This is
all
the
those
entrance.
reviewed, right.
I'm sorry,
the house next to us, neighbor house.
Oh.
It's a stucco house.
and it's in an agricultural
That's our number
overlay
two.
also?
Yeah.
So
I don't know. if
we
know that
visited this.
picture.
This is a very large development on both sides of Roberts Lane. We've had many applications on the other side. This is a stubby little cul-de-sac on the other side. But because it was all agricultural, even though this property has no agricultural views whatsoever, it's included. We wouldn't even be looking at this house if it was just a normal renovation of a house somewhere else in East Hampton.
Well, if it's an agricultural overlay, it's not abutting it, it's actually zoned that, correct?
It's in it, but there's nothing agricultural that you
No,
can
I
see.
understand, but
But it is
that's
still
yeah,
within the
but-
district.
I mean, if we're thinking about the windows and the light and all the stuff we talk about with
Mhm.
farmland, there isn't an inch of farmland anywhere around this house.
It's not a sensitive site,
It's not a sensitive site.
Understood.
Too with that giant.
even though it's ag overlay, it's not a sensitive site.
I mean, the building department will catch any of the stuff that's.
Yeah, I don't,
Is this yours or just mine?
I think that's mine.
I'm willing to do
Let me
it.
see. We have enough, is it complete? Is more the question.
Yeah, there's lighting specs, there's door specs, there's window specs.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that that the square footage, because I'm imagining writing this resolution and we had so much trouble.
Well, you gave us the
getting
square footage.
the square
on your
footage.
applica- Yeah,
Right, but the square footage in the application didn't match the survey, didn't match the elevations. There were
square footage
three
of-
different sets of numbers when we first looked at this. I'm sorry, I'm talking, sir. Can you wait a minute? There were three different numbers.
Right, I remember.
Survey was different, application was
so
different.
this is
and the
what,
elevation
this
was
is what he's stating is the difference. Existing, this is what I went by.
I understand, but we have to check the survey just to make
It
sure.
all has to be,
Yeah,
yeah.
it has to be validated by, I mean, that's where we got hung up the last time. So I'm hopeful. I haven't looked at it myself, but I'm hopeful that that's
So not the
been
survey,
accomplished.
the architectural rendering.
The survey should reflect,
The
the
survey has to-
application should reflect the elevations.
Right.
Like it all should be the
Consistent.
same numbers, consistent. Thank you. I was
Could the applicant resubmit or submit materials and like updates to square footages that match what we approved tonight? And then that's a condition of like, because we're
The
gonna have a
condition of the approval.
condition of the approval of the resolution.
No, that I'm comfortable with that, Frank.
What, Julie?
We submitted a new application and a new service.
Yes.
So are all the do all the numbers check off?
Well, that's what I'm
That's the
trying.
question.
I mean, that's really the
I
question.
don't think you submitted a new survey, did he? Let's see.
I don't have a survey here.
We submit service.
No.
It was service submitted.
Oh, wait, this is it.
Did you update your survey from the last meeting?
It's from the,
Was two of them, yeah, was in the last meeting, we actually put it all survey.
Yes.
Original survey, proposed
Yeah.
survey, and we start.
One assumes
And
this
I
is the
just-
correct.
If I can,
Thing,
I just
right?
don't understand.
Is that a GFA on it, survey?
So,
What we might-
so when we write our resolution, what's really important is that what is stated in your application is then also reflected in all the documents, so that the survey says what the building coverage is, what the lot coverage is, and that all those numbers
So
are consistent.
GFA on the
It's not
survey?
the square footage
I
of
don't
the
think there's a
house.
coverage.
Pardon me?
at all.
Building coverage
no,
is not
it
the
was
square
just-
footage of the
it's not-
house. Square footage of the house is. you have a
Often the
level,
surveys do indicate
Is there a
the,
GFA,
cover
sorry, is
of
there a
the lot
GFA?
of the
on-
structure.
no, often they indicate also the square footage of the house. That's all. I think there was an inconsistency the last time. I'm not arguing this with you. I'm just
Building coverage.
expressing the
Existing
confusion that
building
is
coverage is 3,800.
being discussed here.
We have it the same.
Proposed is
same issue last time, right?
4,353.
And that was bringing to us then.
No, so these numbers don't match.
Again,
Doesn't
Well,
reflect.
no, hang on, you're talking
surveyor
apples
square
and
footage.
oranges.
Well, hold on
Fuller
1
area
minute,
coverage.
because we're too many
They're two
cross
separate
conversations.
things.
I can't hear what you're saying.
Survey wouldn't have gross floor area on it.
It wouldn't have the gross
building
floor area. That's
coverage,
what,
right,
yeah,
okay.
that's
So
what
I'm saying,
this
we're
is
saying that
Gross
it's
floor area. I
inconsistent.
see,
I'm
total
saying
square feet, but
they're
So what
not
is
supposed to
this?
match.
This is what the
practically
house is
including
now.
Dimensions and total square footage. So how is that not gross floor area? Total
Is,
square footage from the application.
gross floor area is
List
different from
each
total
structure
square
or
footage.
activity proposed, including dimensions, heights, and total square footage.
my understanding of square footage is gross floor area.
So
No.
gross floor area,
It's- is it-
allowable, so existing building coverage.
We're,
How is that different than the gross floor area?
Coverage is not the same thing as gross floor area.
Please explain the
exactly-
difference.
Yeah, that's what we were just.
That's,
describing.
coverage is what's
covered.
covered
Flat in the
by
land.
an
And what you
impervious
cover,
surface.
how much you cover your land.
It's
That's
for
right.
sidewalk.
Okay,
sidewalks.
so then, but, okay, then I don't know what we were, I can't remember where we had the discrepancies the last time.
Well, it would include even,
Yeah, I remember they were, but I thought this.
no, that would be lot
was-
coverage.
Well, I have less confidence in it, but if you think that's it, I just want to make sure when we go to write the resolution, we're
Well,
not pulling
I
our
think you
hair
based it
out.
off of this. We're gonna write the.
Yeah, except it.
This is what you filled
Yes,
in.
and exactly
That
what's in the drawing.
matches.
Drawings match the application because that's how much increasing the house
Right.
square footage.
Your drawings,
Coverage will be changed like you're
Rely
showing
more on
here.
drawings
Coverage
now.
of the lot is proposed and existing. That will be the extension of the pool, extension of the porch. That's the proposed coverage in a lot because we cover.
You know, I get it. I'm just trying to, and I'm unsuccessful in comparing the first application with your current one. So I will not pull this up any further.
I guess if we run into any issues.
We'll figure it
be in
out.
touch
We'll
with you.
sort it at the end. So do you want to make a motion, Frank?
Or Chip.
Chip, excuse me, Chip, sorry.
If I make a motion to approve the changes to this property as indicated in the drawings and renderings provided.
And do we know what the materials are?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, before,
We have.
it's white, yeah, no, sorry, I just wanted, I wasn't sure with the rendering, so it's white cedar left, it's natural?
It's not, no, it's pre-finished, but it's not quite white. It's not like.
It's a
bright
bit
white.
gray.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like light gray, dark white.
Thank you. Sorry, I meant to ask that question and I hadn't asked it. Okay.
Actually, the picture that you see,
this-
reflect exactly the colors what will be. Which because roof will be yellow as consider. When they, over time become gray, that's all we put it, how house will look in 7 months when you put it, right? Because in the beginning you put this yellow, it takes 6-7 months, it then start to gray.
No, we understand that. Yes, thank you.
One question also before you make the motion. It's because it is a substantial renovation. Will this include solar panels? Does it require that?
I don't think so, because if
Nothing
I
mentioned.
go, that's
I don't
even,
know
we
that
don't
it's
have to,
substan-
I
I don't
spoke with the
think
Department of Building before that, they say, I don't have to have HERS report.
Okay, you don't have to.
One.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
If that will be required by them, yes, we'll put the solar panels.
Well, that would have to come back to us. That's why I'm asking. Okay.
But I don't.
Does it
I don't-
trigger
they-
that? Does it meet that criteria, David?
don't
Isn't
know.
it a 50%?
Right. I
Isn't
think
it 50% of the value of the home or a 50%
No, I think
increase
it's,
in
if you're
square
increasing
footage?
the GFA by
25%?
more than 50% is a
Okay.
threshold. The entire house needs to meet the,
Right, but I think it's the value of it too. It's not just the dimensions. It's not just the physical dimensions.
But there's nothing mentioned about solar panels in this.
Not right now,
Right, but
make
and
you
Rooney
aware.
makes an important point. So they need, we're trying to give you all the information we
Every
can,
step
so
of the
you're not running up against a brick wall down the pike. So if that's a thing, we should know.
I did the footwork and I spoke with the Department of Building and present them that stuff, and they say I don't have to have a HERS report. I go with the regular one. That's what they told me. That's why we not even presented that.
that's true.
Okay, I guess that covers it. They don't need a Harrison report, I guess. Okay, all right, so
I made the motion.
may I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm voting against it.
Good to go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Voting against it.
I'm voting against it.
Congrats.
So
I just
Kathy,
don't love it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening. All right, so the next thing we have, that's our last application.
It is.
Yes, it is. And we are signing resolutions. Did you guys get these to sign?
Oh, yeah, sorry, no, I didn't.
The resolutions that we're signing into the record tonight.
So if I was.
Wasserstein is here. Okay, great. Is Virginia Gutt D. Simone, Suffolk County Tax Net number 300-24-1-29. Wasserstein Estate. Suffolk County Tax Net number 189-5-10.4. James Petrie, extension of time, Suffolk County Tax Net number 300-187-3-5. Okay, that's what we're doing.
All right.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you to our fine staff and our fine council and LTV and this great board. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second that motion.
I'm entertaining a motion. I didn't make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you. All right.